Hello guys, this is part 113 of ASP.NET video series. In this video, we will discuss about adding composite custom controls to Visual Studio Toolbox and in turn using them in an ASP.NET web application project. In part 112 of ASP.NET video series, we have discussed about building ASP.NET Composite custom control. If you have not watched that part, that video, I strongly encouraged you to do so before continuing with this session. In the previous session, if you remember, we have actually built a composite custom control called CustomCalendar. Here is the CustomCalendar. Here is it. It is CustomCalendar. In this session, we will see how to add this custom calendar control to the Visual Studio Toolbox and in turn use that in an ASP.NET web application project. But before that, recall that in the previous session we have built this project as an ASP.NET empty project custom control. Recall that in the previous session we have built this project as an ASP.NET empty project custom control, adding server control file to it. This is the server control file to it, adding a server control file to it. The name of the server control file is CustomCalendar. This is the server control file and we have given it a name customcontrol.cs file. So obviously when I build the solution, the project also get built. And then since this is an ASP.NET empty server control project, an assembly will be generated with a .dll extension. So if I get to the object folder, means open this folder, now File Explorer, and get to the object folder, then debug. Here is this customcontrols.dll. And if you remember, this project was created in C drive. Okay. If you see the full path of this, means if I go it, this is the DLL. So C drive, user, Dell, desktop. So okay, if you look its full path, this PC, desktop, the location of the project, part 112, custom controls, and this is the custom controls object and debug folder. Okay, we need this custom controls.dll. The name of the solutions and the C drive, this is the name of the solutions, and this second custom control is the name of the project, and within object folder, as you can see, we have came from debug. Debug is in object folder, though the debug should be in this bin file, but there is no debug folder, but there is a custom control DLL, but we need to go to debug folder. Here is the assembly custom controls.dll, which has got this custom debug folder, which has got this custom control .dll assembly, and within this assembly we have this custom, and within this assembly we have this this custom calendar. Within that assembly we have this custom calendar, which we want to load into Visual Studio Toolbox. Okay, now I have another project here. This is a simple ASP.NET web application. So I have another project here. This is a simple ASP.NET web application project. So create an ASP.NET web application project. Now I am on this webform 9.axpx. Webform 9.axpx. Now I have toolbox here, so I can simply drag and drop. So I have a toolbox here, so I can simply drag and drop any ASP.NET standard control onto the web form and use them on this web form. Similarly, let's say, is it possible for us to actually load our composite custom control that is the custom calendar control into this Visual Studio Toolbox? Absolutely. Another thing to notice here is that, look at this, all these standard ASP.NET controls are present under this standard tab. Okay, all these standard ASP.NET controls are present under standard tab, and then all the data related controls like data list, grid view. Where is the grid view? Data list, grid view, etc. They are present under data tab. Here is the grid view. And validation controls under validation tab. So basically the controls are grouped according to the function under their own tabs. So basically the controls are grouped according to the function under their own tabs. Similarly, is it possible to create my own tab and put all my custom control under that tab? Absolutely. Let's see how to create a tab in Visual Studio Toolbox. All you have to do is right click on the toolbox. Right click on the toolbox. And select add a tab and give a meaningful name to your tab. I am going to call this Custom Controls. Custom Controls. What happened to it? Okay. Add tab. Name it as Custom Controls. Okay. Custom Controls. And I'm going to place all custom controls under this tab. So how do I add items to this tab in the toolbox? Simply right click on that and select choose item. Choose item. Where is the choose item? Here it is. Okay, so Visual Studio should bring up this choose toolbox items dialog box, and remember the assembly that contains our control is present at this part. Where is the assembly? Remember the assembly that contains our control is present at this path. Okay, at this path. So now within the Visual Studio, choose toolbox item. Within the choose toolbox item dialog box, we have this browse button. Click this browse button and navigate to that path. So click to that button. The project is present in C drive. Where is the C drive? Here it is. And user, and then Dell, and where is the and desktop. Where is the desktop? Here. Find the desktop here. Here it is. Now from desktop go to the folder 112. Here it is, 112. Go to project custom control. Folder, and then to in that custom control folder click obj folder, debug, and here is the assembly, which from this object folder you should go to the debug folder, and in the debug folder you have the generated assembly custom control.dll. You should double click at this custom control DLL to open it, and I select it and I open it. And click open. The name of the assembly was custom control.dll. Custom control dot DLL, and look at this. Visual Studio is intelligent enough to detect that inside that assembly there is a custom control called a custom calendar. Here it is, custom calendar, as you can see here, custom calendar. And it has added that to the toolbox. I mean, it is going to add that. Look at that, we have checkbox. Click OK. We have created that. There was the checkbox which we have seen in that dialog box. Next to that, meaning this control is now going to be added to this toolbox and the custom controls. So all we have to do is click OK. We have clicked, and here it is the custom, and that should add the control to our toolbox, custom calendar. Now all that is left out is as simply as drag and drop it onto the web form and use it like any other standard ASP.NET control. Okay, so we have added these custom controls to the Visual Studio toolbox. Now simply drag and drop it onto the web form. So first let me show. So I drag and drop it on this web form. It should be CC1. I have changed it earlier, so I need to change it, but it is not permitting me, so I'm keep it as it. I will tell you what need to do later. Look at this, control is now added to the web form. It is giving me some error, but don't worry, we will handle it. Because we have made some changes in here. Actually it was, I had changed it earlier, so I need to change it to as CC1. Okay, let me tell you why. Look at the control. Look at the control at design time. Design mode is now added to the web form. And another important point to keep in mind, as soon as I added this control onto the web form, so we are going to make use of this control in this project. So as a result of this, behind the scenes, look at the reference here. Look at the reference here. Here is the custom controls. Look at the reference here. A reference to the assembly. A reference to the assembly that contains that composite control is automatically added here. Custom controls. As you can see, custom controls assembly. Okay, and let's flip to source mode here. Let's flip to source mode here. Now when we dragged and dropped that custom control, when we have dragged and dropped that custom control from the toolbox onto the Visual Studio web form, three things happen. The first thing is it has added a reference to the assembly. First, it has added a reference to the assembly custom controls that contains that controls that contains that control. And the second thing, it has automatically generated, it has automatically generated. Here is one problem, we have deleted one portion from here. So I need to first of all delete this web form 9, and okay, now I need to add web form 9, add new item, web form, add. So this portion was missing from our previous page. So let me now drag and drop this custom calendar. Okay, so first thing is that keep in mind it has added a reference to the assembly that contains that control. And the second thing, it has automatically generated this register directive. This has generated automatically this register directive for us. This register directive is actually going to register that control with this web form. Okay, and this register directive is having three important attributes. First attribute, assembly, as you can see here. So the name of the assembly is Custom Controls. And within that assembly, what is the namespace? Custom Controls. So if you remember, if we go back to the custom control project, here, look at that, the namespace is actually custom control. As you can see here, custom controls. So assembly namespace and tag prefix look at, it is using default tag prefix of CC1. It is using default tag prefix of CC1. Now, do you want to have your own customized tag prefix? If that is your choice, you can change it to your choice. For example, look at this. I drag and drop a standard toolbox. A standard button control. Standard button control onto the web form. For example, look at this. The tag prefix is AXP. The tag prefix is ASP, indicating that this is an ASP.NET button control. Okay, this is an ASP.NET button control. Now similarly, let's say all the controls or custom controls that are developed by SK. SK means SK. I use SK. I need to have a SK prefix. Is that possible? Absolutely. So I am changing that to SK. So change it to SK. So along the same line, when you change the tag prefix, wherever you use the custom calendar control, you need to change the text prefix wherever it is referenced by as well. So the tag prefix is SK. Just by looking at the tag, I can say, okay, this is SK control, not a standard ASP.NET control. Okay, I need to change it here, SK. Okay, so that is the register directive. And the third step is it automatically generated this control. This automatically generated this control. Declaration, this control declaration for me. Look at it, has this custom calendar. This has custom calendar and then ID, and the ID is equal to whatever is the default ID. You can again change it to a meaningful name, and run at is equal to server. Server attribute. Okay. Now if you remember in the previous session, when we were building this ASP.NET custom control, we skipped the this attribute. We said that we are going to discuss about this in this video session when we actually use this custom calendar control. So what is this toolbox data attribute? This is the one which controls the generation of the tag. When you actually drag and drop that control on the web form. So when I dragged and dropped the custom control from toolbox onto this web form, this tag is generated. Onto this web form, this tag is generated. Okay, now the tag name. Okay, is actually specified within this custom control here. With this custom control here, using the custom control here, using the toolbox data attribute. Look at this. The tag name is actually custom calendar. The tag name is actually custom calendar. Look at this. Here we have an opening angle bracket. Look at this. Here we have an opening angle bracket, and then a placeholder, is for the and then a placeholder. That placeholder is for the tag prefix. So on our web form, if you look at that, the tag prefix is the text prefix is that SK. So opening angle bracket, tag prefix, this is the tag prefix SK, and then colon, this is the colon, and then the tag name, and the tag name is custom calendar. So if you look at that, opening angle bracket, a placeholder for the tag prefix, colon, and then our tag name, is custom calendar control, and then the run at server, and then the run at is equal to server attribute, which is what we have next. So run at is equal to server, and then this is a self-closing text, and this is a self-closing tag. This is a, where is the self-closing tag? Here we need to see here. This is the self-closing tag. So we are closing that with custom calendar again. So we are closing that. With custom calendar again. So since that is a self-closing, since that is a self-closing, it is just closed there. It is just closed there. Okay, all right. So let's get rid of that one there. So get rid of that one here. Get rid of that. One there. So here until now we have just two simple things. We have loaded the custom calendar control into the toolbox. We have loaded the custom calendar control into the toolbox, and then next we have actually dragged and dropped it, onto the web form, which generated this tag, So the registered directive and the registered directive and the reference automatically, and the generation of this directive and the generation of this directive is controlled by the toolbox data directive. Okay, so now let's build the solution So now let's build this solution at this moment. So build solution, you should see this build succeeded means build this solution. You should see the build succeeded. Here you can see build succeeded. Now let me go ahead and run this. Now let me go ahead and run this. Okay, now this calendar calendar control is going to have some issue at the moment. It has some issue at the moment because we have not fully implemented that control. So if you look at the design of the web form, means go to the Visual Studio. So if you go to the design of the web form here, while the page is loading up, okay, the first problem is this one: there is no image associated. First problem is this one is there is no image. There is no image associated with the image button, right? So there is no image associated. So there is no images associated with the image button here. And then next problem is that the calendar is always visible. The calendar is always visible. But remember, our goal was initially, when this control loads up, we want only that calendar. I mean that text box. That text box and the image button to be visible. When the user clicks on that image button, that is when this calendar should be visible. And as soon as I select a date, from the calendar, the selected date should be populated within the text box. The selected date should be populated within the text box control, and the calendar should become invisible. But nothing of that is happening at the moment. Means if I select this date, nothing is happening. I click this image button, but nothing of that is happening at the moment. So we have all these problems here. Okay, we will discuss about how to solve these problems one by one in the upcoming videos. First we will see how to actually associate an image with this image button, and then upon clicking that image, that is when we want to show this calendar. And if I click on this image again, it should actually hide that calendar. And obviously when I select a date, the selected date should be populated within the text box control. We will discuss about how to solve these problems one by one in our upcoming videos. That's it for today. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.